Good morning, wherever you are. If it's morning, if it's afternoon, if it's evening. Hello and welcome to Getting It Done with Gratitude. I'm one of your co hosts, Karen Williams Thompson, and with me is Shelly Ann Barron Edwards. And today we are going to be talking about gratitude, of course, but we're still looking at it and exploring all things mothering. So, whether you are a biological mother, a mother by adoption, a mother just by being that mentor to someone else in their life, we're talking to you this morning. So, just a little bit about me for those of you who are tuning in for the very first time. Guess what? We are super happy to have you, and we are so grateful that you chose to spend some of your time with us. So, I'm a life and business strategist, and what I do is kind of really simple. I help you get really clear on what is it you want in your life. What is it you truly passionate about? What is it you want to jump up and say, I can't wait to get this done? And then I help you look at what's getting in the way. What's really stopping you from getting there? What are some of the blocks or the stories that you have been telling yourself that is not really allowing you to step forward and to jump off and to just be who you are being called to be? And then where the magic really happens is I help you create a strategic plan with intentional goals that help you to successfully achieve those goals because they'll then be in alignment with your vision and to help you map it out so that you have a roadmap that you can follow and implement to live the life that you have always dreamed of. And what better way to do all of this with than by committing to having gratitude as a part of your life? And so I'm going to let Shelley introduce herself and tell you how gratitude has really impacted her in her life as well. Shelley, morning.
Hi. Yes, thank you so much. And every time you give that intro, I in the back of my mind, I keep thinking, and then there's gratitude because gratitude is important, and then there's gratitude. So thank you so much. Hello, everybody. Thank you for spending the time with us today. Wherever you are, we appreciate you and we are so grateful. We would love to hear from you. Tell us where you're from, what you're doing, and how gratitude has impacted you. So in my instance, in my case, I tell people I'm a gratitude guide because gratitude is something that you have to implement in and of yourself, and what I do is to guide you through that process. So while you're working on your goals, while you have your journey happening toward where you want to be, things will happen. And gratitude is one of the ways that you can build resilience and you can make the journey enjoyable. Many people think that you have to suffer through the process and you will be happy at the end of the journey, but that's not the case. We're meant to be happy throughout the journey as well. The journey is just as significant as the end result. So, being involved with gratitude and implementing gratitude on a daily basis helps you enjoy the process. And that's what I'm here for. I guide you through developing gratitude as a habit, through implementing the gratitude strategy, which is say it right, say it loud, and say it always. So, my clients and I discuss the wording and how to empower themselves through language. We discuss making gratitude tangible, getting it out of their own minds by journaling and several other things. And then we also discuss strategies that can be implemented to make gratitude a habit so that it's not just something that you think about when you're feeling good, because the trick with gratitude and the beauty with gratitude is that when you're not feeling so great and when things aren't going so well, that is the time that gratitude is its most powerful, but we have to remember to implement it. And that's one of the things that I really want to touch on today as well.
Yes, and I know that that leads right into you. Before we came on screen, you were talking about how important that is, and the
Mm.
word that was shared was commitment, and the fact that gratitude is all about commitment. And when we become mothers, we also make a commitment. Sometimes we don't say out loud we have made a commitment, but by becoming a mother, by taking on that role in whichever form of mothering, as I like to call it, whether you're a mentor, whether you are a teacher, you have that role where you are influencing lives at different stages, and or just being a mom, there is a level of commitment that comes with that. It doesn't just poof happen. And when I was a young mother, I said, gosh, there are all these books, but no one really tells you what it's really like until you become a mom, and then you have responsibility for this little person that can't say anything right now or not yet, and you have to be the eyes, the ears, and the everything. So it really is all about being a commitment. And I know Shelley really wants to delve into this and talk about the commitment to gratitude, but we really want you to see how also how they're really interwoven. There's
Yes,
not one
yes.
without the other. There is that commitment, yes, to motherhood. And when you think about, your grandparents and the elders maybe in the community and their level of commitment, whether that commitment was making sure that you had an education. I know in the Caribbean, this is something that is so important for a lot of families. And the older generations, you always hear them talking about, I always wanted my children to go to school and to get a good education.
Hmm.
And that was something
Hmm.
that was important for them. Commitment to having a home, having a shelter, having that space where you can just be, and where you have the opportunity to grow and to be nurtured and to be loved. And while we know that it's different for everyone, the commitment and the gratitude are the underlying elements that remain there no matter what. Shelley?
Yeah. Yes. And, while you were speaking again, my thoughts are always going. And this is something that I really, when I woke up this morning, it, I had a thought, and the thought just kept repeating. Gratitude is a commitment. It's not something that you do now and then if you really want the benefit of it. And it sometimes feels a little bit intense, because when most people think about gratitude, they think about, being thankful and being grateful, and, the happy side, and it really increases that. But then on the days when things are intense, and, you're wondering what's next and you're struggling, that's the time when you can use gratitude to, improve your mood. But is it going to come naturally? If you're in a bad mood or things aren't going well, it's not going to come naturally. You need a reminder. You need those, catalysts that would help generate that. And in thinking of motherhood, I remember there's a saying which goes like, proximity breeds contempt. And I know it's a weird thing to say right now, but what that means and what it relates to is that when you're really close to people, there will always be opportunities where, they will upset you. They will, get under your skin, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And there is no relationship closer than a mother and a child. There's no relationship closer than a mother figure and the child figure in that kind of commitment. And because of that, what happens sometimes is that both on the mother side and on the child side, you'd hear things like, especially certain stages of life, there's an
Mm-hmm.
infamous phrase, "You're ruining my life." I'm sure many mothers have heard that in all kinds of variations, because the relationship is such that, mothers are guides and mentors and support and all those things, and there will come a time when there is tension. So in moments like that, when, the child isn't behaving, or they're doing things that you don't appreciate, and, there's a lot happening. It's a really complex relationship. And there will be times when the negativity pops up, and there's the drama and the ill feelings. And these are the moments when gratitude about the relationship, gratitude for the opportunities, gratitude for the moments that have already passed that brought you joy, and the moments that you anticipate will be coming, all of that makes a change, and really helps maintain that relationship, and helps
Mhm.
you feel better about the relationship, even in moments when you're looking at the child. Like, I have had moments where I'm looking at one or both of my daughters, and I'm thinking, why, child? Why? And then, the thoughts of all kinds of crazy things come through my mind. And then I say, you know what? I'm grateful that you're here, and I'm grateful that I have you as a gift in my life. I take a deep breath, and I'm able to step out of the situation a little bit emotionally so that I could, think a little bit more rationally and not in my feelings.
I truly love that. I really do. That took me back to some moments, with my with my son. And I remember mommy gave my son this lovely truck. He really loved, trucks, etc. So he had this lovely big Tonka truck. And I really do not know what inspired him that day. But he took his truck, and you know how they do the little revving thing, and he revved
Mm.
it down the hallway. And for some good reason known only to who, that truck could find no other destination than my cabinet with my crystal. Listen,
Ooh.
listen. I was like, oh. So it was when you talked about the moment just now, I had a flashback because I definitely had one of those moments where I really wanted to do a little. But I didn't do that. I took a pause, took that deep breath, looked at that glee on that little face who was so happy with his little rev up and, drive, and said, okay, Karen, it is just glass. It is just glass. Just keep moving. But, as I listened to you two, I thought, you know what this is telling us? It's about building a habit. And,
Yes, it
building
is.
habits take time. And gratitude, yes, it's a commitment, but it's also a habit, and it's a habit that you choose to cultivate. It's a habit that you have to decide, this is something that I want for me, this is something that I want in my life. And so earlier when I said, I help women get really clear on what it is they want, this is something that you now have to become clear on. If you decide, yes, I want to make gratitude a part of my life, then you are consciously making a decision that you want to develop this habit. And in developing this habit, that's where your commitment comes in. And
Mhm.
when we think about mothers and that promise that we make to nurture, to guide, to love, but then we then are also filled with the gratitude of the love that we just spoke about, even when they are mischievous. And gratitude helps to reinforce that commitment. Gratitude helps us even in those moments like what Shelley and I described. In that moment, we are just so appreciative that we get to be there to share that moment, to look back on it now years later and laugh about it, even if you didn't laugh at first. So
Yeah, and
we're able
we're
to have.
laughing, and the memory is still there, and sometimes the emotions churn up even at this point. So we still have to infuse the gratitude now.
And that's what it is. So, when you're developing a habit, think about anything that you want to do, whether it is exercise, whether it is changing how you're eating, whether it is giving up something like, during Lent, mommy and I always had this thing where we gave up flour. All things flour. It was something that mommy really loved to do, but that was also about discipline and developing the habit of being consistent and being committed to something. And so I think the weave here, the threads of all of this fabric that's coming together is that these are not individual or isolated things. These are things that when we
Mhm.
weave them
Mhm.
together, the tapestry and the fabric that we are creating, this is what we have to decide that we want in our life. And we know the joy that gratitude brings. We know the joy when we achieve the goals that we want in our lives. We know the joy when we see those children that we have nurtured grown and become young men and young women making their own statements, living their own lives, and pursuing their own passions. We feel that joy, and that is gratitude in our lives manifesting itself. But we get to choose, we get to make it a habit, and we get to commit to it every single day. And what Shelly and I are absolutely positive about is when you choose to make gratitude your habit, when you choose to commit to gratitude, we know for a fact that your life is going to take on a different trajectory. We know that you are going to feel the difference. And not only you, but everyone else around you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the thing with creating a habit and fulfilling a commitment, we talk a lot in business and in life about consistency. And
Mm.
many people lament about, I know what I'm supposed to do, but then I'm not consistent with it, and I don't know how to get started again. I don't know how to continue, and they feel stuck. The thing with that is having a plan, having a strategy, is what's going to make the difference. And implementing that habit of gratitude in your life is no different. And that is why we have the gratitude strategy. There's a system, there's a process. And like I said earlier, it's not about, just thinking, oh, gratitude is a good thing. I'm going to feel good about gratitude. Let me do some gratitude today. It's not quite like that. Personally, I have a journal and a planner that I use every single day to list things that I'm grateful for. I write a series of positive statements first thing in the morning. Um, well, that's the intention, but we'll get to the modification of the plan just now. So the positive statements, and then three things that I'm grateful for. And then at the end of the day, I have what I call the evidence section, where I go back and I read those two things, and then I make a note of the things that I'm proud of that were accomplished during that day. And then, just three things. Even if nothing spectacular happened, just coming back to the journal, that's something I'm proud of because I'm keeping the habit. And so that system and that process of expressing gratitude daily, being mindful and conscious of coming back to it and making it that habit in your life, it's a process. And I always say it's a work in progress, but it's also the result of a strategy. And anything worth doing and anything that we accomplish and that we want to accomplish on a regular, consistent, daily, lifetime kind of basis, we need to have at least some kind of structure behind it and some kind of purpose behind it. And that's really where that commitment to gratitude and the gratitude strategy really, really come into play.
And I love that you mentioned a plan because, that is music to my ears. I'm all about the plan, the plan, and the plan. But persons sometimes shy away from plans. And this is what I hear. Persons are feeling stuck. They don't know what's the first step to make. They know that they want to get somewhere. They know that they want to achieve something, but they're standing in that gap of this is where I am. They know this is where they want to go, but how do they get there? And the plan and having a strategy is really the answer. It sounds like really, but it truly is, because think about it. For lots of things in your life, you create a plan. When you go to the supermarket, you plan with your shopping list what it is you want to buy, and you do that for a reason. If you are going on a road trip, you create a plan. If you are wanting to transition from one career to another or to start your own business, you create a plan, you create a strategy. What I want to say is this: the strategy and plan is good phrase in one. So when Shelley spoke just now about the, really wanted to hop in and speak to that, because sometimes we think, oh my goodness, I didn't follow the plan and everything is going to fall apart. No, no, no. You are allowed to pivot. You know why? Life happens. And I can promise you this: the moment that you make the intention to create the plan, something always happens. You get up late that
Oh,
morning, so you
yes.
didn't get time to write
We can
certain things, you
testify.
know? So yeah, something always happens because that's life. But having the plan allows you to get back on track. So in the same way that Shelley will come back tonight and go back to the journal and complete that process, that is sticking to the plan still. That is something might have gone a little off, got up late, didn't quite to do it. But guess what? I'm back on track. And that's what the plan allows you to
Mhm.
do. It allows you to stay focused. It allows you to see where you are going. And it helps you to get there step by step by step. And applying the gratitude and being committed to gratitude allows you now to celebrate each of those steps. And in celebrating each
Yeah.
of those steps, you're building the momentum to get to the next step, because now you're infused with all of those positive feelings and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm getting this done and it's really working. And you are building the momentum within you to keep going. And while you're doing that, guess what's happening? You are achieving the very things that you wanted in life, whether that is your commitment to having gratitude as a very integral part of your life, whether that's another goal that you have set yourself, whatever it is, just by doing those things, by having the framework, having the roadmap, having that focus, you are on your way. So the commitment and then the gratitude, they're just all two sides of a same coin. Is that something that they say? Something like
Yes,
that.
two
Those of
sides, two
you,
sides of the same coin. Yeah.
right, those
Yeah.
of you who know what I mean. Two sides of the same coin.
But I said two sides is the same thing, but we just look at it in different ways, two sides of the same coin. You know, one of the things that came to me, I'm a writing instructor and I work with authors, I work with young writers. At the moment, my focus is on young writers preparing for what we call the SEA exam, secondary entrance assessment in Trinidad and Tobago. And planning the story, especially when you're working with narratives, um, when when you go to write, if you have an idea of what you want to write, it flows better. You maximize your time and your effort and everything. Yet there are many students who are all about, I just write.
Mm,
And what that means is that sometimes it'll be awesome, sometimes it will not be, there's no consistency in the output when they
mhm,
don't plan. And there are some students who are at the level that they're so excellent at planning, the plan works through in their mind and they only need one or two notes, but they still plan. It's not just a matter of just starting to write and getting it out. So I like to form that comparison all the time because many students tell me, I don't have to plan. I can just write. I know what I want to do. But here's what, you could know what you want to do and get started, and then life happens and things change, and then the way you wanted to do it can't happen. And that's when you get stuck if you don't have a plan. Because while planning, you would have thought of, possible changes and, as much as you could see. And then your plan gives you a structure and a foundation and a reminder of what it is you're aiming for. So even if you have to redo the whole plan, you're still reminded of what you're aiming for
mhm,
by going
mhm,
through the plan. And the plan reinforces the desires that you have. And that is where you really get the momentum. So plan is extremely useful, but the value isn't really in the plan. The value is in the effort, the commitment, the reinforcement of the desire, the reinforcement of where you want to be, and all of that is going to be what keeps you going when things seem to fall apart. And things change. Sometimes you might find that you're going after something and the feeling that you're aiming for, this is not the thing that's getting it for you. So you're working on, you're adjusting and you're modifying, but there is still something that you're working for. And you would unlikely get that clarity unless you work through some kind of process, unless you go through some kind of plan. So I think commitment, plan, creating the habit, the consistency, all of these things are connected
Mm-hmm.
and really work together to support as you continue. And it's the same with motherhood. I mean, as kids grow up, we have school runs, we have meals to prepare, and it is just like pure chaos when when you don't have an idea of what you're doing.
When you don't have a plan, yes, because
Yeah.
my son was a competitive swimmer all through school and college. And that required planning because you had to be at the pool for 7 a.m. So that was like getting up, making sure breakfast is packed. Then you make sure that stuff ready for school because you're going from the pool to school. And then you're repeating the same thing in the afternoon. You go to work, he goes to school. You got to get him, get to the pool. And it really requires to have something. Sometimes people get a little intimidated by the word plan or by the word strategy, but think of it
Mhm.
something like just like a roadmap. Think of it as a framework. And Shelley mentioned just now about the absence of that and how you can feel stuck. But the other good thing about having the plan, the strategy, the guide, the framework helps you not to be as anxious. And that's also where the
Yes.
gratitude slides in. Because when you have that plan, you have an idea. It might not be fully mapped out, or sometimes it may be down to the science. I mean, I know people that do that really down to the minute, but that's fine. But what I really want to get at is having that plan, having that framework allows you not to be as anxious. It allows the anxiety not to swoop in and overtake the moment, for the overwhelm to come and
Mhm.
it be like, oh
Mhm.
my goodness, and then you're all over the place, or like we say here, like a chicken without a head. You're just going around and everything is just a little bit crazy.
Yes.
Well, having that plan, it allows you not to be stuck, but it allows you also to not feel that anxiousness, not to have that overwhelm. And that's where gratitude, like I said, slides right in as well, because you get to say to yourself in this moment, okay, this is not going exactly as I thought it would or as I wanted to do it. I get to do it in another way. Or ask yourself, what is another way that I can do it rather than dwell in it? And that is gratitude showing up for you in that moment.
Yes. And with to add to what you're saying there, Karen, um, self-compassion, self-love,
Mm-hmm.
gratitude feeds that. Gratitude is
Yeah.
like at the foundation of that. No, okay. Gratitude is at the foundation of everything, but this series is all about showing you the bits and pieces, right? So and discussing the bits and pieces. And I'm sure I'm going to say that at every juncture. Gratitude is at the core of this, gratitude is at the core of that, because it really is. And when
Mm-hmm.
you look at self compassion, self love, it's all about being grateful for where you are, even if it's not where you want to be, but you are here and you have made a commitment, you have made a choice. And that is something to be grateful for. Just that simple thing. And this is when we realize everything is simple and nothing is simple all at the same time. That's one of the greatest paradoxes of life, So it's, you are grateful for what you've been through and where you are on the other side of everything. You are grateful for the opportunity to make a choice now and keep going. And you are grateful for all of that. And I think that's possibly a good point for us to end on,
Oh,
because that, yeah, and I know we can talk about this forever, but time goes so quickly. And I really wanted to say hi to Lennox. I didn't see the comment until just now. Hi, nice to see you here again. Thank you so much for joining us. And we would absolutely love to check in with you. So we would comment on that after we close off. All right. So any closing thoughts, Karen?
my closing word today is promise yourself. Promise, make the promise that you are going to make a commitment to make gratitude the best part of your day. Do it for you. Do it because you want it. Do it because it's going to make a difference for you. But once you make that promise, commit to it. Get it done with gratitude.
Yes, get it done with gratitude. So see you next Thursday, guys.